Many of us can relate to the life of a butterfly, where from birth we are different. There's just something so unique about us, unique about our desires, unique about our passions. We're just different. We don't fit in. We stand out. Our purpose is so outlined in such a way that everything about us is so intentional. And the more that God introduces us to ourselves, the more we begin to understand, the more we begin to realize who we really are in Christ, and then the transformation begins to happen. But you see, that transformation happens from the inside out. It isn't from the outside in. And what most people don't know is that when a caterpillar begins to wrap itself in its cocoon, what actually transpires in that process is that it sheds itself, it rids itself of its old skin. Now, what begins to happen to people like you and me is that we begin to shed off our old persona, we begin to shed off our old identity. We let go of old friendships, old relationships, everything that used to define us, everything that used to make sense no longer necessarily makes sense, because we are breaking into something. There is a transformation, there is something that is changing about us, and we cannot begin to become who we need to be until we get rid of our old selves. For if any man be in Christ, he is a new creation, and to be a new creation, the old must die. The old must die so that the new can be born. And so we begin to rid ourselves of all things that used to define us, and we are reborn. And time passes. We are perfected. Our characteristics, our new being is constructed in Christ, and He gives us a new identity. He redefines us. He reclassifies us. He reassigns us, repositions us, and with time, our old spaces can no longer contain us. Our old relationships can no longer contain us, and before we know it, we break out of that cocoon of the old, that cocoon of the past. And finally, what was really our true persona, our true being, becomes introduced to the world, and people get to know who we really are. People get to see who we were really created to be. People get introduced to the real you and me. See, they thought they knew us. They thought they had us figured out. They thought they understood, but never did they ever imagine that we could actually have been a butterfly as beautiful as this. And as we begin to spread our wings, as we begin to soar high, as we begin to fly, as we begin to walk and live in our purpose and in our destiny, our true identity is then revealed. But what you and I need to do right now is we need to break out of that cocoon and begin to fly.